A broad range of weapons performed a crucial role for the Union Army during the American Civil War, helping to shape the direction of battles and military strategy. Ranging from precision rifles and heavy artillery to melee weapons, the war was defined by the use of cutting-edge technologies and traditional weapons, adapted to the needs of a large-scale conflict. Today's video features the most iconic and important weapons of the Union Army during the American Civil War. The Springfield Model 1861 rifle was the primary firearm used by the Union Army during the American Civil War. Manufactured by the Springfield Armory, this .58 caliber percussion rifle was extensively distributed among Union soldiers and was an integral part of the North's military success in the conflict. One of the key features of the Springfield Model 1861 was its accuracy at distances of up to 500 meters, surpassing the older breech-loading muskets common at the time. This was particularly useful in long-distance battles, where the Union's fire superiority played a decisive role. The rifle used mini-ammo, which allowed for faster and more efficient reloading, even under pressure. While it was slower to reload when compared to the repeating rifles introduced later, such as the Spencer, the Springfield Model 1861 excelled for its reliability and simplicity, making it ideal for mass production and the quick training of soldiers. Nearly 1 million units were manufactured throughout the war, making it the most common rifle among Union troops. Its endurance and effectiveness made it a landmark of the North's industrial military power and an essential factor in the Union's victory in the Civil War. The Colt Navy Model 1851 revolver was among the most iconic and widely used weapons during the American Civil War, both by the Union Army and the Confederates. First developed by Samuel Colt, this .36 caliber percussion revolver was originally designed for naval use, hence its name, but soon became a popular weapon among infantry soldiers, officers, and especially cavalry. One of the Colt Navy's most outstanding features was its balance and handling. At around 1.2 kilograms, it was lighter than most contemporary revolvers, making it easy to use in combat. With a 6-shot magazine capacity, it was filled with black powder and fired spherical or conical lead bullets, providing good accuracy and stopping power at short to medium distances. While the Colt Navy was less powerful than the .44 caliber Colt Army Model 1860, it was favored by many for its accuracy and less recoil. It was particularly valued by cavalrymen and officers, who prized its reliability in intense combat situations. Its ability to fire several rounds before recharging was a significant advantage in hand-to-hand confrontations or rapid skirmishes. Its elegant design, with a cylinder embossed with a naval combat scene, made it not only an effective combat tool, but also a status symbol for many soldiers. More than 200,000 Colt Navy units were made during the Civil War, making it one of the most popular revolvers of the time. The Model 1860 cavalry saber was one of the most symbolic and extensively used weapons by the cavalry forces of the Union Army during the American Civil War. Renowned for its simple and efficient design, the saber was introduced to replace the heavier Model 1840, also known as the Old Wrist Breaker, that was harder to handle in combat. The Model 1860 cavalry saber featured a curved steel blade, measuring approximately 86 centimeters in length. Its lighter, more balanced design was ideal for mounted combat, where the rider's mobility and agility were paramount. It was used for cutting and thrusting, making it a highly versatile weapon in hand-to-hand combat. While the development of firearms, such as rifles and revolvers, lessened the importance of cavalry as the main fighting force, the saber still played a significant role, particularly in quick attacks, ambushes, and during chases against retreating enemy troops. It was most often used in light cavalry actions, where hand-to-hand combat still occurred frequently. The saber was often teamed with other cavalry weapons, such as the Colt Navy revolver, allowing soldiers to switch between firearms and blades depending on the situation. The durability, simplicity, and effectiveness of the Model 1860 cavalry saber made it a dependable weapon throughout the war, and it became one of the symbols of the Union mounted soldier. The Spencer rifle was one of the most significant technological breakthroughs used by the Union Army during the American Civil War. First developed by Christopher Spencer in 1860, the rifle was noted for being one of the first successful repeating rifles, proving a significant tactical advantage on the battlefield. The Spencer featured a lever-operated repeating mechanism, with a tubular magazine attached to the butt of the weapon, which held 7 .52 caliber metal cartridges. This allowed soldiers to fire several rounds in quick succession before having to reload, an innovation in an era where most breech-loading rifles only admitted a single shot before a slow reloading process. The soldier could fire all 7 shots in about 10 to 20 seconds, an impressive feat that vastly increased the firing rate. This rifle was renowned for its endurance, serviceability, and precision in combat. It was extensively used by Union cavalry units, such as Wilder's Brigade, which used the Spencer rifle to significant effect in battles such as Chickamauga. The ability to quickly and continuously fire meant that the Spencer rifle was described as a weapon that changed the game on the battlefield. Although a revolutionary innovation, the high production cost and the conservatism of some Union officers restricted the rifle's initial distribution. As the war progressed, however, more soldiers were equipped with the Spencer, cementing its reputation as one of the most innovative and effective weapons of the Civil War. The technological advantage provided by the Spencer rifle played a vital role in the Union's final victory. The Ketchum hand grenades were one of the first battlefield attempts to use handheld explosives during the American Civil War. First invented by William F. Ketchum and patented in 1861, these grenades were used primarily by Union forces in sieges and trench battles, offering a new aspect of close-range attack. The design of the Ketchum grenades was simple but clever for the time. They were shaped like a small cylinder, with a stabilizing wood tail and fins, resembling a javelin, which allowed them to be thrown more accurately. The grenade was hand-thrown, and when it hit the target with the front part, an impact mechanism would activate the detonator, triggering the explosion. The grenades came in many sizes, with weights ranging from 1 to 3 kilos. While innovative, the Ketchum grenades had several limitations. The need for them to hit the target with the right tip to detonate made their use unpredictable. If they fell on their side or back, they would not explode, making them ineffective in many cases. Also, in some situations, Confederate soldiers succeeded in picking up the non-exploded grenades and throwing them back into the Union lines. Notwithstanding these flaws, the Ketchum hand grenades marked a significant advance in portable explosives and inspired future developments in military weaponry. They were used in various battles, such as the Siege of Vicksburg, but due to their limitations, they never became a largely reliable or decisive weapon. The Napoleon field gun, otherwise known as the Napoleon 12-pounder, was one of the most extensively used and powerful artillery pieces during the North American Civil War by both the Union and the Confederacy. Its name pays homage to the French Emperor Napoleon III, since the original gun design was conceived in France. The American version was tailored by the Springfield Armory and other foundries, making it a standard weapon in the battles of the war. The Napoleon gun had a caliber of 12 pounds, approximately 5.4 kilograms, shooting explosive and solid bullet shells with great precision and power. Its bronze construction, with a smooth barrel, made it more resistant to corrosion and less prone to becoming overheated during continuous firing. It could fire at distances of up to 1,500 meters, which made it incredibly useful in different combat situations, such as shelling enemy positions or attacking troops in the open. The Napoleon 12-pounder won a reputation for its flexibility and effectiveness. It could fire solid projectiles, used against forming troops and to bring down fortifications, as well as shrapnel and canister rounds, particularly deadly at close range, making the cannon a devastating weapon in infantry attacks. The simplicity of the design and ease of operation meant that the Napoleon cannon was one of the most reliable weapons in field artillery. It played a crucial role in several important battles, such as the Battle of Gettysburg, where its precision and firepower helped neutralize the breakthroughs of enemy troops. Combining power, precision, and reliability made the Napoleon gun a staple on the battlefield, symbolizing the heavy artillery of the time. The Berdan Sharpshooters rifle was the primary weapon of the elite unit of Union sharpshooters, known as Berdan Sharpshooters, during the American Civil War. The unit was established in 1861 under the command of Hiram Berdan, a renowned inventor and marksman, and became famous for its long-range shooting abilities and pinpoint operations. The rifle first used by the unit's riflemen was the Sharps Model 1859, a rear-loading rifle produced by the Sharps Rifle Manufacturing Company. This weapon was particularly successful due to its rear-loading mechanism, allowing for a faster firing rate than the typical front-loading rifles of the time. At a range of up to 900 meters, the Sharps was exceptionally accurate, making it ideal for snipers targeting enemy officers, artillery, and other long-range threats. Berdan Sharpshooters were submitted to a strict selection process, where each soldier had to display exceptional accuracy. With its ease of reloading and high accuracy, the Sharps rifle made it possible for these sharpshooters to play decisive roles in important battles, such as Gettysburg, Antietam, and Chancellorsville. They often maneuvered on the front lines, camouflaged on high ground, from where they could fire fatal shots at strategic enemy targets. Besides their high-precision missions, Berdan's marksmen were also deployed on reconnaissance and scouting missions, where accuracy and reliability in their weapons were key to success. The Sharps rifle contributed to consolidating the reputation of Berdan Sharpshooters as one of the first sniper units in military history, and was an innovative example of how precision shooting could influence a war. The Parrott rifle was one of the most groundbreaking and widely used pieces of artillery during the American Civil War. Conceived by Robert Parker Parrott, a former U.S. Army officer and engineer, the Parrott cannon changed the use of artillery with its advanced design, which combined strength, precision, and range. First introduced in the 1860s, the Parrott rifle was used by both the Union and the Confederates, and was highly effective in field battles and fort attacks. The Parrott rifle was built from cast iron, with an innovative feature. The barrel had a cast iron reinforcement in the breech, preventing splitting and explosions, a common issue with iron cannons of the time. The cannon had rifling, grooving inside the barrel, giving the projectiles fired a spin, providing greater precision and range. The Parrott rifle, depending on the model, could fire 10, 20, or 30-pound shells at up to 3,700 meters, an impressive feat for the time. The Parrott's accuracy meant it was perfect for long-distance shelling, especially in siege battles such as the Siege of Vicksburg and the Siege of Petersburg. It also had a fundamental role to play in the shelling of fortifications, such as Fort Sumter, where its precision allowed it to effectively attack strategic targets. The Parrott rifle was not perfect, however. While it was more accurate and had greater range than other cannons, its cast iron construction made it prone to damage under intense use, and some cannons blew up after prolonged periods of continuous firing. Nevertheless, its combination of accuracy and firepower made the Parrott rifle a crucial weapon in the artillery armory during the Civil War, playing a significant role in Union victories. The bayonet employed by the Union Army during the American Civil War was a vital hand-to-hand combat tool, widely fitted to infantry rifles, especially the Springfield Model 1861 rifle. The standard bayonet used by the Union soldiers was a triangular-bladed bayonet, fitted to the rifle barrel, turning the firearm into an improvised spear for close-quarters combat. The bayonet had an average length of 43 centimeters, with a long, sharp blade aimed at piercing the enemy's body. Its triangular shape made it harder to treat wounds, and it was therefore a feared weapon in hand-to-hand battles. The simplicity of its fitting on the rifle barrel made the bayonet user-friendly, letting soldiers quickly switch between shooting and hand-to-hand combat as the situation on the battlefield demanded. While the focus of battles in the Civil War was the use of firearms, the bayonet was extensively used in infantry charges and situations where fighting became too close for the successful use of rifles. A striking example was the Battle of Gettysburg, where infantry units such as the 20th Maine Regiment, led by Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, made a decisive bayonet charge at Little Round Top to repel a Confederate attack. Besides its fighting purpose, the bayonet was also a versatile tool for soldiers and was often employed for small everyday tasks, such as cooking or chopping wood. Despite its simplicity, the bayonet was a crucial piece of a Union soldier's equipment, especially when combat became hand-to-hand in the trenches or on the front line. Throughout the American Civil War, the Confederate Army encountered significant challenges in resources and arms production, leading to a reliance on both imported weapons and local innovations to equip their troops. Notwithstanding these limitations, the Confederates managed to use a number of efficient and innovative weapons that played crucial roles in the battles. Today's video will tell us a bit more about the Confederate Army's most important weapons. The Enfield Pattern 1853 rifle was one of the most widespread weapons used by the Confederate Army during the North American Civil War. An import from the United Kingdom, the Enfield P-1853 was a .577 caliber percussion rifle and was the second most popular firearm of the conflict, behind only the Springfield Model 1861, widely used by the Union. Because of the South's limited industrial power to build its own weapons, the Confederates depended heavily on imports of rifles like the Enfield. One of the Enfield rifle's major advantages was its long-range accuracy, efficiently hitting targets at more than 500 meters. Its ammo, known as the mini bullet, allowed for relatively quick reloading and added more penetrating power to the shots. These properties made the Enfield an excellent choice for sharpshooters and Confederate infantry in open firefights. The rifle was barrel-loaded, with gunpowder and a mini bullet, using a percussor to fire, which was the norm for firearms at the time. The Enfield Pattern 1853 was extensively used in important engagements, such as the Battle of Gettysburg and the Battle of Antietam, where its accuracy and range helped to balance the numerical handicap that the Confederate Army often encountered. While it was an imported weapon and not mass-produced in the South, the Enfield Pattern 1853 rifle performed a vital role in the Confederate arsenal, playing a role in addressing the shortage of weaponry and providing Southern troops with a reliable and effective combat tool. The Lamat revolver was a particularly unique and groundbreaking weapon used mostly by the Confederate Army during the American Civil War. Conceived by Dr. Jean-Alexandre Lamat, a physician and inventor of French origin, the Lamat revolver was different from any other weapon of the time, owing to its versatile double-barrel design. It featured a main revolver barrel, able to fire up to 9 .42 caliber shots, and a second shorter central barrel below the main barrel, which worked like a small .20 caliber rifle, charged with lead cartridges. This made the Lamat a highly lethal weapon in close-range combat. While it was heavy and difficult to handle compared to other revolvers, the Lamat provided a clear advantage for cavalry officers and soldiers, who were in need of a weapon that could be used as both a revolver and a rifle for close-quarters confrontations. The rifle barrel's extra firepower was especially useful in ambush situations or close-range battles, where soldiers could rapidly switch between the two barrels. The famous Confederate cavalry leader General J.E.B. Stuart was one of the most prominent users of the Lamat revolver, helping to spread the weapon's popularity among Confederate forces. While production of the Lamat was constrained due to the difficulty of manufacture and the scarcity of resources in the South, it became a symbol of innovation and ingenuity in the Confederate armory. Combining power, versatility, and a distinctive design, the Lamat revolver was one of the most impressive weapons of the Civil War, affording Confederate soldiers a tactical advantage in close-range battles, even with its limited production and challenging handling. The Richmond carbine was one of the most impressive firearms made by the Confederate Army during the American Civil War. First conceived in Richmond, Virginia, at the Confederate arsenal that had been built there after the 1861 capture of the Harper's Ferry Armory, the carbine was inspired by the design of the Union Model 1855 Springfield rifle, whose parts and tools were salvaged and reused by the Confederates to compensate for their shortage of armaments. The Richmond carbine was mainly used by Confederate cavalry and light infantry troops, serving as a shorter weapon and hence more suitable for use on the move. It was a .58 caliber anti-personnel percussion weapon, making it compatible with the standard mini ammunition used in other firearms of the time. Its stripped-down construction, loosely based on the Springfield Model 1855, was tailored to meet the Confederates' desperate demand for armaments, given the scarcity of resources and limited industrial capacity in the South. While the Richmond carbine was less refined and of lower production grade compared to Union rifles, such as the Springfield Model 1861, it did play a key role in providing Confederate forces with an efficient firearm available in decent quantities. The carbine was used in several crucial engagements, including the Battle of Gettysburg and the Battle of the Wilderness, where the often outnumbered Confederate troops needed reliable weapons to match their strength. The Richmond carbine, despite production challenges and a lack of resources, stood out as an important symbol of the South's ability to improvise and manufacture effective weaponry, playing a key role in the Confederate war effort. It epitomized the resilience of the Confederates, who, despite limited resources, managed to arm their troops with a functional and efficient weapon. The Confederate cavalry saber was a weapon extensively used by the cavalry forces of the Confederate Army during the North American Civil War. Drawing inspiration from European cavalry sabers and the Model 1860 saber used by the Union Army, the Confederate saber was a close combat weapon, ideal for quick attacks and skirmishes in which cavalry played a key role. The standard Confederate saber had one curved blade, usually measuring between 86 and 91 centimeters, made of plain steel, and a handle wrapped in leather or metal, intended to be robust and functional. The bent blade made it easy to use in slashing movements during mounted cavalry, while its length provided enough reach to hit the enemy without getting dangerously close. While the saber was an important weapon, the South's restricted industrial capacity meant that many Confederate sabers were of lower quality than those made in the North. Southern forges often had to improvise with available supplies, resulting in less durable blades with a rougher workmanship that often bent or broke during long-term use. This did not, however, diminish their battlefield importance. Led by iconic figures such as General J.E.B. Stuart, the Confederate cavalry used the saber in fast charge, flanking, and reconnaissance tactics. Combining sabers with firearms, such as the Lamat revolver, allowed Confederate cavalrymen to be versatile in combat, alternating between ranged and melee attacks. Despite its variable quality, the Confederate cavalry saber stood as a symbol of the bravery and feisty spirit of the Southern cavalry. The Whitworth rifle was one of the most sophisticated and accurate long-range weapons used during the American Civil War by the Confederate troops. Devised by British engineer Sir Joseph Whitworth in 1857, the rifle changed the concept of accuracy in ranged combat and was widely used by Confederate sharpshooters to hit strategic battlefield targets. The Whitworth rifle's distinctive feature was its hexagonal rifled barrel design and matching projectile, providing superior flight stability. This innovation meant that the rifle was effective at much greater distances than the standard rifles of the time. While standard rifles, such as the Enfield pattern 1853, could reach an effective range of up to 500 meters, the Whitworth was able to hit targets with precision at distances of up to 1,800 meters. Its precision firing capability made it an ideal choice for Confederate snipers, who often used the rifle to target Union officers and artillerymen in critical battles. While an expensive and rare weapon due to its importation from Britain, the Whitworth rifle did play a significant role in many battles where Confederate snipers equipped with the Whitworth succeeded in inflicting significant casualties on Union ranks. A well-known example of the rifle's impact was its possible use to kill Union General John Sedgwick at the Battle of Spotsylvania from a remarkable distance. Notwithstanding its rarity and inflated cost, the Whitworth rifle was one of the first modern sniper weapons, illustrating the growing importance of accurate shooting in armed conflicts. Its influence stretched far beyond the Civil War, becoming a landmark in long-range weapons development. We have listed some of the most iconic weapons used by Confederate soldiers today. Which of these is your favorite? Were there any other weapons that you think should be on this list? Please share your opinion in the comments. See you in the upcoming videos.